Welcome to another episode of the Creative Power Hour. I'm your host, Marcus Whitney, and today's guest is Mickela Mallozzi.
Mickela Mallozzi. You know how many times people say Mickela? It's bloopers. Mickela. Mickela. Mickela.
Welcome to another episode of the Creative Power Hour. I'm your host, Marcus Whitney, and today's guest is Mickela Mallozzi.
Hello.
I would give you like a superhero name, but your name is already superhero-ish enough.
There's enough alliteration.
It
enough
is.
Z's.
Yeah. And we'll show in the bloopers. I screwed it up the first time. Yeah. So
it happens all the time.
I'm not off the hook.
All
I'm not
the
off
time.
the hook.
No.
I'm not off the hook. Okay, my friend.
Yeah.
First of all, short notice. You're amazing. Thank you for doing this.
Dude.
First of all, like we try to get together all the time.
Yeah.
And like, I'm here. You're not.
No.
You live in the world.
I live in the
world.
world.
Entire world.
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
I like that. Yeah, I do. I kind of live wherever I'm being called to.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of places, and not here most of the time.
Not here most of the time.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump in. Origin
Yeah.
story. Who are you?
My name is Mickela Mallozzi, and I am a Emmy Award-winning TV host on PBS where I travel and dance around the world. The show is called Bare Feet, and it was a dream of mine, and I just pursued that dream, and now here we are, 9 years later after having this aha moment. So I guess I can go back to this. I'll start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I studied abroad my sophomore year, the summer between my sophomore and junior year of college, and caught the travel bug. Like most people who get to travel for the first time. It was the first time I was traveling independently, internationally, and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And that triggered this love for continuing to travel. I applied for various scholarships to continue to study abroad while I was still in school, and was able to do that, and fell in love with the first time of my family's culture, because I am Italian American. My parents are both immigrants from a little small town called Minturno, hence the name Mickela Mallozzi. Mallozzi only comes from that little town, apparently. And fell in love with my culture, really understood how to learn my language, because this language that my parents speak at home is a dialect.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
so I never spoke real Italian,
Yeah.
and then studied it, and then just kind of fell in love with it. And also took that everywhere else too, of traveling to other parts of the world that I wasn't familiar with. And what I found was, while traveling for fun, was if I couldn't speak the local language, I used dance and music to connect with people, whether that was dancing in the streets, because there are usually holidays and festivals that are happening, usually in the summertime. And I kept having this magical moment over and over again, especially when, after dancing with these people, and I couldn't communicate verbally, I'd be invited into their homes to eat with their mom, or I was invited to an Indian wedding in Mumbai, and like all these amazing experiences spawned from the act of sharing a dance with someone or sharing music. And so I thought, there's something really special about this. I worked in the music industry for about 6 years, quit that. I went to school for music, but then started dancing again. I had danced my whole life and stopped dancing when I went to NYU. Started dancing again, started teaching dance, and started applying that while teaching abroad. So I would take the summers to teach abroad. And kept having this idea of like, there's something special about travel, using dance as a universal language through your travels. And on January 15th, I'll never forget the day, and I talk about this all the time, is I had this aha moment. I woke myself up in the middle of the night, literally seeing like a projector, kind of like how the audience doesn't see this bright light here, but it was like a projection of the future of what Bare Feet has become, of this TV series where I connect with these amazing strangers through dance and music, and I'm wearing these incredible costumes, and I could see, it sounds crazy, but I could see the ads in the subway. I could see my show in Taxi TV. I could see myself doing all these incredible things that have come to fruition since then. Aside from meeting these wonderful people, eating the incredible food, playing instruments, traveling the world, just connecting with people through dance and music. So fast forward, 9.5 years later, we started in my parents' hometown. I thought, what better way to start this project than reconnecting with my family's roots. So you meet my Nonna Pina. She's like the sweetest little woman. We go back to Minturno. We stay in her farmhouse. I had no money, so I hire my friends. We stayed in her house. We connected with the local group. And through a lot of trial and error, I've come to this point because I didn't come from a hosting background. I didn't come from a TV production background. I had no idea what I was doing. And I knew I had a good idea. And a lot of people thought I was crazy. Just straight up. You need to get a real job, Mickela, you know?
Right.
And I didn't quit. We could talk about this further later, but I did not quit right away and invest all of my time and energy in this project. That would have been stupid.
Right.
Right? You need to survive. So it was this gradual growth, but no one would give me an opportunity. And it was to the point of pitching to producers, because I worked in the music industry, had a lot of friends in the entertainment industry, and they're like, oh, I'll hook you up with, introduce you to a TV producer or a production manager or something. And they were all like, that's an interesting idea. This was back in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting idea, but in no way are you going to be the host. Because they said it needs to be some sort of model or actress, someone who is used to hosting a television show. And I thought, well, screw that. Why would I want to give this job to someone else to have fun?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing this because I'm trying to make a TV show. I'm doing this because I want to travel and dance around the world.
Yeah.
So through a lot of trial and error, and through a lot of hustle, through a lot of like sneaking into PBS conferences and putting myself in front of the right people, that I didn't know how this whole system worked, but I just figured, who are the right people I need to be in front of?
Yeah.
How do I get there? And putting myself in there. And then just being like, no qualms about hearing no.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
qualms about promoting myself. Not having... I didn't have the proper training of being a host. I didn't have the proper training of what it means to do all this stuff. And maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself.
No.
But I'm like breaking rules.
I'm ready. Ready to sort of jump into to that.
Yeah.
So first of all, that's an amazing story, and there's lots of
There's
different.
so many.
There's exit ramps for
Oh my
several
gosh.
conversations.
Oh my gosh.
Let's just start where you just ended, which is no qualms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's a hard work component to it, but there's also a being totally okay.
Yeah.
With endeavoring to do this thing that woke you up in the middle of the night and go through all of the necessary, like almost as if you know that it's necessary to fail and be told no and to get it wrong and to mess up. Like, where did that come from? Have you ever thought about where that came from?
No, and it's really bizarre because my husband and I were kind of sitting down the other night talking about the genesis and the evolution of everything that's happened. And he's like, your like superpower is not giving up, but not taking no for an answer. And I think that has to go back with my upbringing. Like, my parents came over here from another country, not speaking the language. My sister is a brilliant inventor and entrepreneur herself. She has a tech company for people with disabilities. She herself has cerebral palsy. So she's hit so many physical barriers and obstacles and things that people have put in front of her, literally and figuratively, for her to not succeed. And she's proven them wrong. So I think I come from a family and upbringing that you don't take no for an answer, because there's always a way to make that answer yes, no matter what. Like, it's not convincing people. It's, okay, there's this wall in front of you. Let's go to the left of it, to the right of it, under it, over it, drill a hole through it. Like, however you need to make your way, and not by being bad or vindictive or spiteful, but respectful, but also realizing I have every right to be able to move forward just as anyone else has every right to move forward. And, I came from... I had a great education. I was able to get scholarships to incredible schools, but I always realized the opportunities that I was given were very special.
Yep.
And taking advantage of that and utilizing that, as my sister did, as my family does, and we still do. So I think it's just the mentality of, well, if everyone else can, why can't I? Or why can't we? Or... there has to be a way for that answer to be yes.
Right.
No matter how long it may take.
Right.
How many no's and maybes along the way.
Yeah.
The yes will come.
Yeah.
And that's almost like you have to be a little crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
to believe that.
Yep.
You do. You
Yep.
have to be a little clinically insane to believe that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because it's normal. If someone keeps telling you no, of course you're going to be like, oh, this is never going to happen.
Right.
So,
yeah.
all right, move on.
No.
But
like,
you know,
I do know. I've been thinking about this more and more because sort of related to what we just talked about with Alicia Keys and the makeup thing. Okay, so
should we give them a little backstory of what we're talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We were going to. Yeah, go for it.
So I show up here thinking we're just going to do podcasts.
Yeah.
With no makeup on,
and everybody else knows what I mean when I say that, but you are a TV host. And so if I say podcast, you're like...
And I know your work, so I'm like, oh, we're just, because I listen to the podcast, I don't watch it. But then I was like, oh, I'm going to be behind a microphone. No one's going to see me. I'm running around all day doing errands. I have no makeup in my bag or anywhere. And run to Walgreens to buy some eyeliner, and, so I look a little presentable to everybody, hopefully.
You've been schooling me basically the entire time you showed up. Like... Marcus, you're supposed to tell me this. Where's the mic go? What camera do I look at when I'm making a statement? Like all these things. Like I'm like, okay, thank you.
But see, I didn't know those things when I started at all.
Yeah,
I didn't know any of that stuff.
Okay, so
going back to Alicia Keys.
Yeah, so makeup.
Yeah. So she doesn't wear makeup, and it's funny. This morning I was thinking, well, if a woman goes for the same job interview as a man, and she shows up without makeup on, she looks unkempt and might be not considered because of that, or seen differently because of that. And you made a comment of, well, look at Alicia Keys. Yes, I love Alicia Keys.
Right.
And she is promoting the non-makeup lifestyle, but she also has a completely unattainable skin regimen for normal people.
Okay, that's where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
That's where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
The unattainable piece, right? Because I think the thing I've been thinking about lately is... different people are at different points in their life, right? And some messages are totally appropriate based on sort of where you are in your life. And then the question is where you are in what, right? And I think it's this is a fancy word, right? But I think it's self-efficacy, right? Which is the belief that you can achieve a particular goal. And self-efficacy in one thing doesn't necessarily mean you have self-efficacy in another thing, right? But if you have it in something, then the likelihood of you succeed, like it's half the job.
Right.
Is like the belief that you can.
Right.
And so like, you look and you could take the same people, two different people, same opportunities.
Right.
And the difference in one person believing they can and one person like drastically different outcomes.
Yeah, agreed.
Drastically different outcomes.
Agreed.
And so that's why I'm just starting to get really interested in, especially, stories about people like yourself who, I'm assuming if you grew up in a first generation, immigrant family that like you guys didn't have a ton of money, right?
No.
Right. I mean, like, worked hard.
Yeah.
Probably, very
My father
industrious.
my father and all of my uncles and all the men in the family were blue collar workers.
Okay.
My father was a carpenter. His brother was a carpenter.
Yeah.
All his cousins were masons and carpenters. I mean, you're Italian, so that's kind of what you do.
Yeah.
I know it's a stereotype, but
but the stereotype happened for
a reason.
Reasons,
these are the crafts. And my father actually went to school. He came over here when he was 19. He went to school to be an engineer in Rome. And when you come to this country and you don't speak English, he said the day after he arrived here, he went to work.
Yeah.
Showed up to be a laborer and became a skilled worker as a carpenter.
Yep.
Of extremely skilled craftsman.
Well, especially with an engineering background,
right? Exactly. I mean, but that barrier for him was speaking the language.
Yeah.
So he never really went to school here. He's extremely intelligent, but he has a very thick Italian accent. And there are barriers for him in writing English. Math, no problem. That's also a universally written language, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, things like that. It's these opportunities that are missed, or seeing the opportunities that you have to create yourself because of your situation.
Right.
And I see that over and over again in my family, in various members of my family,
Yeah.
extended family too. Having that is like...
I think there's something, some people can get it externally, but I do think there's something, people who grew up in functional families, right? Sounds like your family was functional.
Yeah.
And then there is some familial adversity.
Yeah.
And you grow up and you watch how your parents just succeed sort of in spite of obvious external challenges, right? But they still make it happen. And especially for you, like, they're your everything, during those formative years.
Totally.
I do think, like, and not only are they like they're not just your everything, like, they are you.
Yeah.
Until you get your own identity,
Of
like,
course.
you identify with who you are really through them.
Yeah.
That I do think that has a lot to do with it. You know what I mean? Like, I've been just reflecting on my own life, and yes, I've worked really hard, and I've a lot of very similar things in terms of, like, didn't know how to do this, just kept working at it. But I do think that my family, put something in me just by who they were and how they showed up in the world.
Yeah.
That gave me this self-efficacy that I like, that I is now my superpower, right? You know what I mean? It's like what I use to, like, do this.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And then invite you so you can teach me how to do it better.
I'm learning all the time. But I think we're very lucky, that's not always the case.
Yes.
It's actually, I feel like we're outliers in our family, or having that support from someone, whether that's your family or someone who you see as family, right?
Right.
Because not everybody gets that from their family, but they may get that from someone who they consider, as they get older, as someone.
So you are projecting now to the world, right? Like, you have this show, you're traveling around the world, you're introducing people to different cultures. I mean, I've spoken sort of at length, not necessarily on the show, but with people really close to me about how much I was touched when Anthony Bourdain passed away.
Gosh.
Because, from the TV, he took us around the world, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is what you're doing. Like, you're in prep for this, I watched a couple of shows and I was like, okay, like, I can definitely get hooked on this, right? You know what I mean? Because you're bringing us around the world with you, and and also some places that are very familiar to me. I grew up in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And so, just taking me in parts of New York that I know, but I don't know in that way, right? You know what I mean? What's your mission or purpose for creating this content? You know what I mean? Like when you woke up, you knew what you wanted to do. Did you know why? Did you know the why when you first sort of had that vision? Or has that evolved for you?
That's no one's ever asked me that question before. Thanks. No, I didn't know why. I think I do know. First, it was for completely selfish reasons.
Yeah.
Because I was so enthralled and, like, getting a high from all of these experiences of making music and dancing with people that I wanted to keep doing it for totally selfish reasons. It's fun.
Love that.
It's amazing. It's the best way to travel. I get to see the world. And then as this project and Bare Feet started to go out more to the world and more people started to see it, and people started reacting to it in a way that I never expected.
Yeah.
My mission has always been to promote travel differently. In a way, obviously Anthony Bourdain is an inspiration to me, and I see him as a mentor, not someone that I've known, but someone that I want to emulate in the sense of his approach to curiosity. He doesn't give a bleep. I don't know if I can swear on here.
Oh, you can, totally.
Okay, he doesn't give a fuck. Like, he can he broke all the rules.
Yep.
And in the end, prior to his passing, he still was the forefront of what a travel storyteller looked like.
Yep.
Which didn't look like what people thought a storyteller should look like.
Yep.
And so I took that to heart too. Of okay, he didn't fit the mold. He was a recovering heroin addict.
Yep.
An incredible writer, but also this sort of not curmudgeon-y, but like gristly, sometimes mean, sometimes not nice. But when he found the people that really touched him, he opened up and was incredible and incredibly kind to them, because he knew, as his show evolved, how much influence it had. And that was a backfire too. I think he was fighting a lot with, if I go into a place, it's going to be ruined, because now I know it's not going to be this hidden gem. And that was a torment for him, aside from other torments. So I love his writings. I've read like all of his books, and it is a huge loss to not only the travel community, the storytelling community, the world. Like, people of so many minorities and minority communities have been impacted so positively by him, because he's shown a light onto immigrant communities here in the United States and other communities throughout the world, that they're not so quote unquote scary, right? And that was his superpower of making everything seem so human. So back to your question. I know that was a big tangent.
No. I like. Thank you for memorializing. His impact.
Yeah, that was a really, really, really tough day. For a lot of people.
I did not want to get out of bed that day.
Yeah. And it was, so my mission was, and is, and has been, once I started to really formalize what Bare Feet was, of this idea of storytelling, of experiences through dance and music. Because before the TV show really started, I decided to start a blog too, to share these stories that I was having through dance and music. And the diverse dance and musical cultures that were in New York, since I was living in New York full time at the time, because it was so accessible. Every night I would go out and just either take a dance class or go hear amazing music or try some dances, whatever it was, every single night. And I wanted people to feel okay with stepping out of their comfort zone. And I didn't realize how far out of their comfort zone that would mean, because for me, I was okay with it. I was like feeling okay to look not perfect, feeling okay to not get the dance step right away, feeling okay not to like stumble on the instrument. And I would laugh at myself about it. And those people, I had just enough knowledge that I would make the other person comfortable. It wasn't like I had two left feet and they would feel awkward and like, oh, I can't really help this girl. She's kind of a lost cause. It was more of, I was able to imitate them just enough that they wanted to share more with me. But enough that I'm not going there to become a professional flamenco dancer, or a professional tango dancer, or a professional Irish step dancer, whatever the medium is of dance. And I think that resonates with people, because the messaging is, Mickela, you look like you're having so much fun. Of course I am. Why wouldn't I? Right? And you can too. Because you're doing something different doesn't mean it has to be scary. And you can take these little baby steps. And it doesn't mean you have to try dance, but when you're traveling or when you're exploring your own city, don't just take selfies all over the city. Go talk to the people. Everywhere in our show, I'm never really anywhere by myself. I'm always with someone. Whether I'm dancing with someone, making music with someone, eating with someone, walking through the city with someone. Maybe very rarely will you see me not with someone, because I'm not the expert. And I never have claimed to be an expert in anything before this at all. Like, now people know me. Oh, you're that traveling dancer. You're that girl that dances around the world. That's amazing that they recognize that. But I never will say, I am the authority on this whole genre of dance. No way. I am the student that is coming to all of these amazing teachers that are teaching me something that they truly are passionate about and love. And when you find something that someone really cares about, let's say you're an aspiring chef, or you like to cook and you're meeting with a chef or a cook, and it doesn't mean they have to be professional, but there's someone who just loves to cook and make something for people to eat. You trigger that interest in something that they are so passionate about, and they will open all doors to you. And that's what I realized is what I was doing. It wasn't showing the world these dances and music. It was opening a door to a culture through a different avenue besides food. Because everyone's doing food. Right. And so we get to meet these really interesting and beautiful characters, half of which are probably not professional dancers, most of which are people who are lawyers and doctors and postmen and plumbers and secretaries or whatever, assistants. I guess you don't use the word secretary anymore, but you know, they think of them as that profession, themselves as that profession, and then secondarily, they happen to be a brilliant guitar player, or they do sardanas, or they, that's just part of everyday life. So to highlight not just like New York City Ballet, who I'm a huge fan of, and George Balanchine, or not just Martha Graham, or not just the Rockettes, or not just these professional dance companies that seem so unattainable, which they are. To train for a dancer, it's a lifetime of training. And to be able to jump in with a group, they may be dancing like this for a lifetime, but it is more accessible. It's part of the culture. These are real people behind it. These are people that are your neighbors or your friends or someone you may recognize in another way. But I think that's the mission. The mission is to show there are other avenues in creating that contact and that connection with people through other cultures. And there's a baseline. There is this, like I said, a universality. Mm-hmm. So if I go to a Muslim country, or I go to a Christian country, or I go to an Orthodox country, or a Hebrew country, Israeli, going to Israel or anywhere, we're all people. We need food, we need shelter, we need love, we need community, we need a little dance and music to make our lives happier. Mm-hmm. If we show that there is that commonality through dance and music, whatever religion, race, sex, gender, whatever is that differentiating part doesn't matter anymore. Mm-hmm. Because the commonality is I'm dancing with these people, and people dance. Everybody dances and makes music. So there's a lot of layers, and none of that really came out. It was always there because I was doing it anyway. And I think that's why I loved it so much when I was traveling and connecting with people. But then I realized that's why I love it so much. That's why it speaks to people when they see me doing it, because it's coming out in a natural way. It just comes out so strongly. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the message I keep trying to push now that I'm aware that that's what I'm doing, Do
you get nervous?
Oh, yeah. Not as much anymore.
I would imagine, not as much anymore.
Well, I'll give you a few examples. Like the very second episode we ever filmed.
Yeah. So the first one was in your...
It was in Minturno.
Yes.
In our hometown. And that was nerve-wracking because I love Italy, but it is a country where nothing works. And anyone who's been to Italy will understand this. And we were there in the summer, and so I would email and call the head of the organizer for this festival, because there was a big wheat harvest festival that was happening at the time. And, don't worry, Mickela, non ti preoccupare, don't worry, we'll figure it out when you get here, I was like, I can't figure it out when I get there. We need to figure it out before we get there.
Right.
So we know, where we're supposed to show up. So that was nerve-wracking. I would love to go back to Minturno and film another episode now that I know how to make a TV show to enjoy it a little more.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll go back and revisit it. And so that was the nervous part, the first one. The second one that we ever did was 2 years later. That's how long it took to kind of build this.
Hold on. Say again?
Yeah. So 2010.
Yeah.
Okay, how do I condense this story? 2010, I had this idea to create a pilot.
Got it.
Right? In January.
Yep.
This wheat harvest festival happens in July.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, we're going to hire friends. We're going to go, blah, blah, blah. Come back, put a sizzle reel together, pitch it to a third-party production company. They sign it. They're like, we're going to sign this to Travel Channel. It's great. 2 weeks later, we find out Travel Channel signed an identical show called Dance Around the World.
Okay.
And they held my footage hostage for a year.
I'm so glad we're going into this.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
They held my footage hostage for a year because I signed, stupidly, an exclusive shopping agreement with them for a year. When in real life, you're supposed to sign maybe 30 to 60-day shopping agreement.
Yeah.
It could be exclusive.
Yeah.
So when I tried to get out of the deal, because they're like, well, now Travel Channel has this show. We can't sell it to anyone else. And I was like, well, can I have my footage back? And they're like, yeah, you could pay us $30,000.
Wow. Yeah.
Or wait the year. So I had to wait the year.
Yeah.
And that's when I started the blog. Finally got the footage back a year later. Hired an editor.
2011 now.
2011.
Okay.
So this is because I signed the contract, I think, in September, October. So now it's 2011, October 2011.
Almost 2012.
Right. So by the time I got to 2012, it's February, and I am now shooting an episode in Argentina.
Okay. Episode 2.
Episode 2 of what is now Bare Feet.
Now, let me ask you a question. Is that because not only was the footage locked up, but basically you were locked up? Like your right to do things in a video medium.
Yeah, well,
with this theme, was that also locked up? Like, did Travel Channel also have the
Travel
rights?
Channel had no. This was a third-party production company that was
production
going to
company
sell
is
it.
the one that you signed the deal with, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they wanted to pitch to Travel Channel, and because Travel Channel had already signed a similar, identical show, basically, except.
And the production company wouldn't just let you out. Wouldn't just say, yeah.
They wouldn't say, yeah. They weren't like, sorry, good luck with everything.
You have to pay $30K to get
$30K. By the way, the name of the company is called No Regrets Entertainment, and I should have known better just by the name of that company.
Are they still around?
I don't think so, but I did run into one of the partners who was really nice here in Nashville, actually, a couple years ago.
Kidding.
And he's like, Mickela, good for you. I was like, yeah, man, your partner was a dick. He's like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's about right. He doesn't work with him either.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was a different time, too.
Yeah.
Like YouTube isn't what it is.
No, I'm definitely thinking like 2010. I mean, Facebook and Twitter just really started.
Instagram didn't even really exist.
IG,
It didn't exist. No.
I don't think it. I do not think it existed.
And so it was a really different landscape.
Yeah.
Like content creation landscape was so different. So what I thought was, and I think I do this a lot, like when I hit a crazy barrier where it's a big no. I mean, this is a big setback.
Yep.
I like freak out, cry, get it all out. And then I'm like, okay, now what? How do we get around this wall?
Yep.
How do we figure out the next step? Because in my mind, it wasn't, it's done. That wasn't what came in my head.
Process, grieve, and then
move on. Yeah, onward. Yeah.
Onward. Yeah.
So it was realizing, this was the realization was, I'm not doing this to be on TV. I'm doing this because I want to share stories of dance and music. So that's when I started the blog. And I didn't, in the contract, it didn't say I couldn't make my own videos, but I wasn't making videos anyway. Let's remember that. That first pilot was hiring my friends who went to film school at NYU. So I had never gotten a camera and filmed myself. So within that time, after 2010, 2011, then starting 2012 was when I started making short little videos. And I convinced this tour operator to send me to Argentina with my two of my very good friends. And we filmed this amazing episode, which I won an Emmy for, which is crazy. As a host of all things,
I'm going to ask you to go into that, but first talk about the episode.
That's scary,
and then we'll circle
I know
back
we're
to
at
the
so
Emmy.
many tangents.
No, this is amazing.
I'm so sorry.
This is amazing.
So we get to Argentina. It's beautiful. I'm going to milongas, which are tango parties for people who don't know what a milonga is. Oh, I keep hitting this. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
So I had never done Argentine tango before, ever. And it is, I mean, there are people that go to Argentina, start doing tango, and then leave their lives back home and just move there for a good reason. It is this seductive yet intoxicating, beautiful dance that's not inappropriate, like sexual. It's more of this, like, you get addicted to the feeling of connecting with someone and speaking with them with your body. It's just, and the music is gorgeous. It's beautiful. So we were there for 5 days filming, 4 or 5 days. And I had just started learning. And then the last day, I knew we were going to film with a professional production, a show, which is the equivalent of a Broadway production show. And I knew I was going to be like an extra in the show.
Yep.
Show up, meet the producer. He's this like super Hollywood looking Argentinian, Buenos Aires porteño, and he's got the scarf and the glasses, and he's amazing. And then I meet with the choreographer, Jesus, who's like, okay, I have a lot to work. I have to work through with you in the next 2 hours that we rehearse. Turns out I'm a featured dancer, not doing a duet with the choreographer of the show. So I'm getting nervous because he's a little frustrated with me. He was very patient, but I'm not a trained tango dancer.
Had you ever done
that Monday? This was Friday. Like, and I was going to be performing to a live audience that paid money to see professional tango dancers.
Oh my God.
One number in this whole show, but still very nerve-wracking.
Stop.
So, and luckily the people my crew that I traveled with, one is one of my closest, dearest friends. He was doing sound, and the other was one of the girls who came and shot with me in Minturno, Bridget, who's a brilliant filmmaker, but she was there from the beginning, so I felt very comfortable with her. And I was backstage, and I just started crying.
You're doing great. You're nervous, but I think you're going to be cool.
I'm like going to start crying.
I know, yeah, I can see that up there. Just relax.
I don't want to get me crying. It's just walking. It's just walking. I didn't realize I'm going to be dancing for 3 minutes, a whole tango. I'm getting really anxious. And it's all in the episode. And you see me like getting really nervous and shaking before going on stage. And I was really scared because A, I didn't want to look like an idiot. And B, I was like, all these people are paying to be here and they're going to see me dance. I'm not a professional dancer. This is just embarrassing.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
So, and I'm wearing this crazy dress. I mean, it's just like amazing, but nuts. And so right before I went on stage, and this part was not on camera because I was on the other end, we had Bridget in the audience with her full camera. And then Mike, who did sound, was holding, they don't even make them anymore. Those, it's not a GoPro, it's like a flip video. Remember the flip video?
Yeah.
He was holding a flip video so that when I got off stage, I would run. He would see all the behind the scenes. And it was super dark.
You don't even know what a flip
You
video
don't.
is, do
That was my first camera.
Okay.
That little tiny.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're old school.
Okay.
In today.
Yeah.
Like there were no smartphones.
You could get them like branded. Do you remember
Yeah,
that? You
yeah.
could get like, like
Amex
designer,
or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's holding a flip video on the other. So I'm on stage right. He's on stage left.
Yeah.
And he's waiting for me. And I'm about to go on stage. And all of a sudden, this calm came over me. And I was like, Mickela, you are living your fucking dream. This is bare feet. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I had this huge smile on my face because I realized it was a reality.
Yeah.
And got on stage. Didn't do it perfectly. Got off stage, still shaking, happy, high fives, hugs, kisses. Best experience of my life. Totally best experience of my life. And I was like, this is what everything I've been working for.
Yeah.
Why were you upset? This was it. This is what you wanted, and you got it.
Yeah.
And I have that moment over and over again now. Not the nervousness, but of the I can't believe this is real.
Yeah.
I mean, I just had it in Morocco. We were just in Morocco a few weeks ago. And now I just get very emotional and just start crying hysterically. And we were with a Berber tribe right outside of Fez in a Berber tent with the mountains behind us. And they're singing my name, singing, Mickela, you are welcome, Mickela, you are welcome in their language. And I lose it because not only do I feel connected to these people, but this is real.
Yeah.
This has lasted this 9.5 years of God knows how many times I wanted to give up. God knows how many times I was almost in the position of like, this financially cannot move forward because public television is a totally different beast from network or cable or Netflix or any other distribution. And it's like, this is still alive and it is beautiful. And I am so lucky that this is happening right now, that I am in Morocco having this experience when a year ago I thought, this is it. Bare feet's done. So I don't get scared anymore. I really don't get scared. It's more of I get excited. I get nervous when there's moments of lost in translation. You'll see in our new season that's coming up soon. We shoot this beautiful episode in the Republic of Georgia, right by Russia. And we show up to a professional, it's called Saakashvili Georgian National Ballet. They don't do ballet, but it's this incredible dance. And we show up and I was like, this happens a lot too, where I say, the premise of the show is I have to try the dance. I have to dress in costume. I don't just watch. I have to participate. It's very immersive. And they're like, yes, Mickela, yes. And then we show up and a lot of times they don't understand that aspect of that. And I'm also very good at, again, the no is not an answer for me.
Yeah.
Especially when I've flown to the other side of the world with my crew, who I'm paying for, and I only need 10 minutes. And that's what I say to them. I'm like, just give me 10 minutes. I swear we can do this. And it happens. And you would never know in that upcoming episode in Sukashvili, he gave me 4 minutes because they were in the middle of rehearsal. And by the end of it, the choreographer and director was cheering me on and wanting to teach me. But I literally had 4 minutes. We are almost using all of the footage that we shot in that 4 minutes for that segment.
Okay. I want to quickly
talk. I'm sorry.
No. This is amazing. I want to quickly talk about the Emmy.
Oh, yeah.
And then I want to talk about, like, just this life of yours of creating content and that this is what you do and you've done it on your own. We really didn't sort of transition into the whole like life after the Travel Channel No Regrets production company debacle, right?
Yeah.
You know, you started a blog, you know, but quickly just talk about you won an Emmy. Okay, what does that mean? How do you win an Emmy? Like, you know, because I know that I would imagine like your work has to qualify by some standards, and then it has to be voted on, right? And so like, just how does that process work for people, you know, like myself? I'm like, I don't know anything about that, and I think it's interesting because right now, you know, we're in this world where now we're starting to see at the highest level, you know, content is winning that's not on traditional channels anymore, right? And so I think it's actually really important to start to expose this a little bit. So you won an Emmy. How did that happen?
Yeah, so mine was actually more of a traditional...
I would imagine because at the time, 2012, things hadn't really like...
Yeah, well, no, because the show then started airing on television.
Right.
So then I was qualifying for... so after the whole Travel Channel, actually the No Regrets Entertainment debacle, and decided I'm going to keep pursuing this, I thought I would still push it to other production companies because I ultimately wanted Travel Channel, right? Because it used to air travel content. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah, just like music television.
Right. So, and then I realized I thought PBS would have been a really great fit. I'm a fan of Globe Trekker. I love Rick Steves. You know, all of these shows, and I've learned through the process that public television, you have the authority to create the content that you want to create. Right. But the burden of finding funding, you have to get approved as well. Like, it's vetted content. Not anybody could just put a show on public television. But I get to make the show I want to make.
Yep.
Without having to be in a bikini or have drama, you know, unnecessary drama in the show. It's just the show, bare feet. That's what I want. Yeah. And so through a process of, like I said, sneaking into a PBS conference where I happened to meet the head of programming for the local NYC media station, who has now become my sister station, my presenting station, my family. And you usually have to pay to start airing your show. You have to pay for distribution on public television. Okay. And
can you give a range of what that looks like today? Like, what, you know?
Yeah. So if you are trying, let's say my 13 episode series, if I want to air it on national on PBS, APT, American Public Television, and I'm going to one of the top presenting stations, which would be WETA, WETA in DC, or WNET in New York, or WGBH in Boston, it would be about $100,000. Just for distribution.
Yep. Okay.
Not counting production, nothing.
And what kind of time slot are you looking at?
That's the other thing. Nothing's guaranteed. So each individual public television station programs the show as they see fit. So I air Thursday nights at 9:30 in LA. I air Wednesday nights at 8:30 in New York. I air God knows what time in San Antonio. I think I'm on at 11 a.m. on Saturdays in North Carolina. So each individual station decides, and they might
fit it in when they want.
Yeah, in the travel block, how they see that their own market will react to it. Yeah. And I have no say in that. I also don't have any say when they want to start airing it. So our new season is going to be available nationally starting in October. Okay. But that doesn't mean all the stations are going to start airing in October.
Got it.
They might start airing it in January or... So it's a rolling
And is that because you did a deal? Well, A, you've got track record, but B, you did a deal with APT. Is that?
Yeah, but that's how. Yeah, so I distribute through APT, American Public Television, and that's that's how the system works. Is you have to raise all the money.
Yep.
Which is even more difficult now because there's no brand integration. If you watch, and that's what's wonderful about PBS though. There's
not allowed.
Not allowed. It's clean, right? So you don't have brought to you by Coca-Cola, and then all of a sudden in the episode you see someone drinking a Coke. That's a big no-no.
Yeah.
Because public television prides itself on the fact that sponsors have no say in the content, or they're not supposed to have any say. So you don't have influence from money.
Got it.
Which makes it clean content.
Yep.
And as trustworthy as it can be based on all other mediums.
Yep.
And but that, as a producer, that gives us more obstacles to overcome, because what do brands want?
Your universe of funders is
much smaller.
Much smaller.
And what do brands want? They want brand integration.
Yep.
So I think most of my viewers don't know that I haven't paid myself in 9.5 years. You know, that's...
Again, all the people that I keep bringing on this show who are doing all this incredible shit and they're not paying themselves, I'm telling you, people are not understanding what's going on.
Right.
People don't understand what's going on.
But
it's amazing.
It's self-sustaining right now, and I'm at a point where things are soon going to change, which is great because I'm working on different, but
9 years. 9 years.
9.5. We're at 9.5 right now.
Yeah, I don't want to rob you of your half year.
No,
9.5.
No, it's
every day.
Yeah.
9.5.
So, and again, I was a full-time dance teacher while I was doing this, and came to a point when more than 50% of my energy was going into bare feet. When I thought, I don't want this to be a hobby. I need to invest 100% of my energy in this, and went full-time, and made a lot of sacrifices in my personal life, along with my husband in my personal life, and not sacrificing him, but together, the both of us, of changing our lifestyle, so that I could be an entrepreneur. Supporting this and making this work, which is why so many times it's like, I can't do this anymore. But it would be so, I say this a lot too, it would be so much easier to quit if I wasn't getting Emmy Awards, if I wasn't getting these amazing messages from fans, if I wasn't running into fans on the street, all over the world. Like, if that wasn't happening and I knew people were not watching the show, I'd be like, done. Time's up. I gotta go. It's not working. But it's working. It's this juxtaposition of how do you balance the sense that it feels invaluable to people because there's no money, but then the sense that it feels so valuable to people because of what it means to them. How do you make that connection? I have that existential all the time.
How do you turn the corner on the money thing? How does that happen?
How do I make money now? Meaning? Or how am I going to?
Not how have you survived over the last 9.5 years.
No, but like now.
It's now about to be distributed nationally.
Again.
Yes.
Yeah, for season 3.
And I would imagine third season distributed nationally, like you
think it would get easier, and it doesn't. It's getting harder.
It's getting harder. Why?
Why is it getting harder? I think because the television landscape is changing.
Yeah.
The advertising landscape is narrowing, right? People want digital. Do
you do any digital?
Yeah, we have digital. We're on Amazon, but we can't include underwriting on that. We are on the PBS app, pbs.org.
Yep.
We do international distribution, which we can't include the underwriting on as well.
Yep.
But what I am now working on is I've struck a deal with Condé Nast Traveler.
Wow.
And I'm going to be one of their first branded hosted series for Condé Nast Traveler and the new brand Women Who Travel. And that I pitched to them.
Right.
Because I thought, I can't make money doing public television. Right. I love it.
Right.
I want to keep this sustainable.
Right.
Where is there a platform? Because I don't have a huge YouTube following. I don't have a huge social media following. I have real followers. The engagement, the engagement's very high. Yeah, yes. It's very high. I've never bought any followers because that's useless to me. That's not the point. The point is
vanity.
Right. The point is, or access to gain some brands won't talk to you unless you have 10,000 or 20,000
sure,
followers,
sure,
right?
sure,
So,
sure.
but that's not what this is about. This is about actually making connections with people. So, I was in this happened recently where I was like, every brand that's interested in our content is like this. We love it. We love the story. We love everything, but we need brand integration. And I can't offer that.
Right.
And so I thought, where is there a platform where I can offer that?
Yeah.
And how do I get on there?
You needed a new distribution channel.
Or
and
another.
Social was not it because
Right. I just didn't have
you
it.
haven't focused on
Yeah,
building
I
it.
don't have it. Yeah. So reached out to Condé Nast. I've been in talks with them for months, and we're working together to do branded content with the idea of bare feet. So the show doesn't change. I get to make the same show and get paid while still making PBS. That's what I want to do. I don't want to take this content.
Didn't the CEO from Pandora go over to Condé Nast?
Maybe there's been a lot of change.
So.
There's been a lot of change.
That would be a good thing, though.
Yeah, no,
'Cause,
there's been...
obviously Pandora, full digital, so that's pretty smart.
They've been investing a lot in video
Yeah.
in Condé Nast Entertainment.
Yeah, that's smart.
So it was a really good time for me to reach out to them. I have no qualms with reaching out to people. I reached out on LinkedIn, sent them a message, and they were like, yeah, when can you come in for a meeting?
Wow.
Because what's the worst they can say? No.
No, that's
Right.
it.
And then you move on and find someone else who's going to say the yes.
Okay, how do you win an Emmy?
How do you win an Emmy? You have to have a show on television.
Yeah.
So these first Emmys that I have are regional Emmys, so they're New York Emmys.
Yep.
Which means...
When you say you have to have a show on television, I just want to be abundantly clear. This sounds stupid, but YouTube does not count.
No.
So it must be on television.
On broadcast.
Broadcast
television.
Okay.
There is
It's getting
now,
kind of weird. Like,
but
what is broadcast anymore? Because we all
Yeah.
have these smart TVs and Roku's and Apple TV and apps, and so it's what is broadcast?
Well, what's interesting is now, and I don't know what the rules are because now my show is national.
Yeah.
So for next season, I have I'm going through daytime Emmys, so that's going to be a totally different
Got it.
means of submitting. But I think they've started changing the rules, so there are other subcategories or categories that are, at least they did for New York, there was some sort of digital component.
Yeah. Okay.
For national and daytime and primetime Emmys, that's where it gets even harder because primetime means when it used to air between 8 and 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
So if you're watching a show, let's say Handmaid's Tale or Stranger Things,
Right.
or Game of Thrones. Well, I guess Game of Thrones airs at a certain time.
Yeah.
But certain shows that don't have an air time,
But the content.
but they're allowed
would fill in that slot, right?
And they are now receiving Emmy awards.
Wow, that's deep.
So I don't know. I'm the wrong person to ask because I am now going through that process for the bigger distribution.
Yeah. Okay.
But for me, when I started, it had to be on broadcast.
Okay.
And it's certain. It has to cover a certain amount of percentage of the country, right?
Yeah.
If you're only regional, it should only cover a certain region.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So if you're going daytime or primetime, it has to cover at least 50% of the U.S. market, which Netflix and Hulu obviously do, and Amazon and all that stuff. Because even Amazon shows have been nominated and won. Didn't Marvelous Miss Maisel just win a bunch? Yeah. So I think it's more of the distribution breadth and scope versus the medium now. Because if you're on YouTube, I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's in flux. I know that much, but I can't track it. So I was hoping.
And I think certain lengths, like if something's a 5-minute video on YouTube, it's not even admissible.
Right.
It has to be a certain length. But then you have to get votes too. So,
you have to get votes.
Yeah. So if it's bad, it's bad. Whether it's on broadcast or.
Do you have to campaign to get votes?
No, I haven't done national yet, but no.
No,
I never had to.
So people are actually watching the content.
You have to. It gets voted on, and I'm as a winner. I'm a judge now.
Yeah.
So I have to judge other, and I like that because
that's
I get to
awesome.
see.
That's great.
Yeah, I do national judging. I do regional judging, And it gets me like, ooh, I like how this show's doing
right.
this.
I mean,
And like,
you're engaged in what's going on out there,
yeah.
and I would imagine like if it's up for an award, you're looking at like the best of what's coming up. Right?
Yeah, sometimes because there's like multiple rounds of judging, so I'll see the first round.
Yep.
So you know, okay, these 5 are definitely going through, and these other 6, they just submitted because they could submit.
Yeah.
And then another round through is when it's really high caliber. You know, it's the final round of judging. It's good to see though what people like, their production style. Just get ideas of how people get creative, because you can't just do the same thing over and over again. You know.
So I want to shift away for the last 5 minutes here.
Sorry, we were like talking so much on everything.
No, that's how this works.
I know.
This is amazing. This has been great. No, I wanted to shift away just because, you know, you're probably one of the most traveled people I know.
Oh.
And I would love to travel more. I've done, you know, I would say relative to people I grew up with, probably a fair amount of travel and seen some things. Although I've got a pretty long list of places I still want to go. You know, I think a recent trip that I took, I went to Belfast, Northern Ireland, and one thing that was super enlightening for me about that trip was to go to a place that is effectively 100% white. I mean, you know, it's not, but let's just say it is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Pretty much. Yeah.
My friends in Belfast might get mad. But you know, it's not, but let's just
99.9.
For the purpose of this conversation, let's just say that it is, right?
Yeah.
And like when I grew up, I'm 43, so like I grew up while the Troubles were happening, and so in social studies, like, you know, I learned about it, but like to go there and to do a black cab tour and to really like feel.
Because there's still tension there, isn't there? A little bit.
Yes, although I think they've made incredible progress.
Yeah.
Like it's actually mind blowing what kind of progress they've made.
Yeah.
But peace walls are still up,
right.
And it's still there is still segregation. Like, you know, like it's not like they're in a peace process and they're working through it. But it's, you know, and I guess where I want to go to is, you know, in America, not the only, but a very, very big narrative of people is race.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
You know, and here was, you know, a country where, you know, you had a very, very serious conflict, and it wasn't really race as we would characterize it here, right? You know, it was religion, right? And I've always like intellectually known that humans are capable of creating conflict for any reason, right? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be
whatever
the construct of race
right.
that we've defined here in America.
Right.
It can be whatever difference we decide to hang our hat on. We can sort of make. You know, what have you personally learned about how much more we are alike than different through this 9.5 year journey that you've been on?
Yeah.
You may have gone into it sort of already knowing this, but I mean, what have you learned?
Yeah, no, it's funny because the more places I go, the more that's apparent over and over and over and over again. And you know, I'm going to Uzbekistan next week, which I've been to before for the web series, but never for the TV show. And it's a different country than when I went 6 years ago. There's a different ruler who back then was more of a dictator. So I'm assuming it'll be a little bit different of an experience, I hope. It was still a beautiful country. The people are very warm, and the dances are beautiful. The food's amazing. But going into it 6 years ago, I had a different mindset of, this is going to be this strange, exotic place with people who have customs that I'm not used to. And I realized that wasn't the case at all so much. There were differences, but I met all of these there were a bunch of young people, these students who were language students. And they assigned, because I was there for a festival, they assigned each of these students to people from all over the world. So if someone was studying Japanese, you had the student who was studying Japanese to be the interpreter and guide for the delegate from Japan. If you had someone who was learning English and studying English, they were with people from America and the UK and Australia and Italy and Spain, all those languages, German and French and Russian and all that stuff. And so I got to hang out with some pretty incredible young people who had the same things that we would go through. Like they had crushes on boys.
Sure.
They had, they were always fighting with their parents, but they were, very proper and very respectful, but they were kids and they were fun. And it reminded me like, yeah, this woman is wearing a hijab, but she's a kid who's as rebellious as anybody else.
Yeah.
Who wasn't wearing it, and it was a good reminder. And so I think the more I keep doing these trips and the more I get to see, even in New York, just going around New York City, it's the you have to actively practice putting yourself in those situations to remind yourself that. Because if you just sit in front of a TV and say, you know what, we're all the same, it's great, wonderful, wonderful, someone preaching you that, you can hear that, but you're not going to listen to it. You're not going to experience it because you take from experience what you believe and what you know. I would rather take from my own experience, and so would most people, believe what they saw with their own eyes. So if someone's preaching to you and telling you, you're less likely to believe that. If you are going there, whether that's the next neighborhood over, or the other side of the country or the other side of the world, wherever that may be, and you experience it for yourself that these people really aren't that different. They speak a different language. But then when you're in a place too, after a little while, that language doesn't seem so harsh or doesn't seem so strange because you start to pick up words here and there and it seems familiar. But you can't do that passively. There has to be an active pursuit to have those experiences so that is part of your actual experience. Mm-hmm. What I think my show is I try to do is take you into that experience as much as I can. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not the Mickela show, even though sometimes it is the Mickela show. It's really the, come on, join me. Come on. You're going to have fun with me because I love to have fun. And I cry and I throw up on the side of the boat when I'm motion sick. I do all this stuff because I want you to see travel isn't always this beautiful, clean, perfect thing. I stumble on my words. I stumble on my feet. I show what I don't look like a blonde hair, busty, blue-eyed, leggy girl. I look like a normal, big-nosed girl. There's shots where my nose is just in the shot because it's so big. And it's like, that's real. That's real. I'm not going to get a nose job. I'm not going to get braces. I'm not going to do the things that most people on television need to do. And by going to these places and seeing that over and over and over and over again, it's making it more like accessible, I hope. But I think you have to actively pursue that, which doesn't surprise me why, this is a whole other topic of like where we are politically in our country, sure, how divided we feel. Yep. I have family who have gone to the dark side. And it's because they don't travel.
It's because of the experiences, because of the
limited experiences that they keep. Right. So I think, if it's like doing homework or it's like working out or, you have to work at it. Mm-hmm. You have to practice it. And I think also the way that you travel you have to be cognizant of the way you travel. If you're going to a resort for 10 days in this nice little bubble, you'll be at a beach. Yeah. Excuse me. But you're not, the only people that you may meet from that place are maybe the staff.
It's manufactured.
Yeah.
Right.
So, of course, that's going to be, wow, Cancun's great.
Yeah, right.
Which other parts outside of the walls may be great. Go to Playa del Carmen or, But if you go to a resort, and guess what? Every resort's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just need a little more.
No, it's okay.
Time out. Okay. It's allergies too. If you're isolating yourself, if that's the way you travel, that's what your travel experience will give you. If you're someone who is going to go outside and explore, it doesn't necessarily mean either you have to jump out of an airplane or go bungee jumping or go hiking the highest mountain. You know, like you don't have to go to Mount Everest. I would never do that. I will never hike Mount Everest. I have no desire to ever in my life. But what I want to do is like talk to the boulangerie, you know, talk to the bread maker in Paris, or talk to the cobbler, you know, somewhere. It's talking to the people that are there, that live there, and interacting with them. So that's my little soapbox.
I'm glad I asked you that, because I didn't want to overlead with like, but you're taking us all there. But I mean, I think you're right. I mean, you're doing as much as you can.
Yeah.
Right. You're doing as much as you can, but there is a difference between sitting back watching the television show and actually going.
Yeah.
Going.
And again, it doesn't mean not everybody can afford
that. Yeah.
To go to these places that I'm going to. I probably can't even afford to go there if I wasn't going there for work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you could. There's always a way to get to these places. But at the same time, we're not ever showing like luxury hotels or luxury, because that's not what the show's about. And that's not what travel's about. The word travel comes from the French word travail, which means to work. Travail, trabajo, right? It means to work.
Oh, wow.
Travel comes from the word work. So it shouldn't be this vacation on a beach. I keep doing this. It should not be this vacation on a beach where you're just relaxing. It's work. It took work to travel. You had to load up your cart. You had to get the horse ready. You had to load in all your food. You had to bring the water. You had to travel for, you know, now we have cars, but to go a couple miles took maybe a couple days. You know? So it's good to remember that.
On that note, so where can people find you online?
Go to travelbarefeet.com, at travelbarefeet.com. Don't go to barefeet.com. That's a weird foot fetish site. My mom found out. And we're on all the socials at travelbarefeet. And we have a new season coming out. If you're listening in New York, we start airing in June on NYC Life. And then the rest of the United States starting in October. And this new season, I'm so proud of this new season. So this entire show was filmed with me and just one camera person. Until this new season, we have 2 camera people.
Wow.
And it's gorgeous. And the premise of this new season is I got my DNA tested, and every destination is based on my DNA map. Because I wanted to show, look, we're going to Uzbekistan, Morocco, the Republic of Georgia. Hopefully we're getting to Jordan. I'm in Muslim countries, Catholic countries, countries where people don't necessarily look like me now, but there's someone in my past that came from this land. So it's been very emotional. It's really beautiful. I'm super, super, super proud. I'm proud of the fact that it even exists. Like I said, there were so many moments where it's like, I don't think we can make this happen for so many reasons. But we did, and it's coming out. It's real.
Amazing. I can't wait to watch it. You're one of my favorite people.
Oh,
thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And all
you were
y'all,
one
you
of
need
the
to
first.
watch. What?
Wait, you were one of the first people I ever met when I came to Nashville.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
When did you get here?
Oh, I don't. It's like back and forth. It's like 5 years now.
Yeah, because Jacob connected us. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
I did a show with him. It's good.
I know. I listened to it.
Yeah, it's good.
I listened to it.
It's good. All right. Well, keep crushing.
Thanks, dude.
All right. Until next time. Peace.